What people know about Dulux is that they do paint. What people don't know about Dulux is we are part of the biggest company that creates colour in the world. My background is colour. It's always been colour. And the first job I ever got was for a showman's decorator. I worked for one of the top leading showman's decorator who painted traditional fairground rides. From a very early age, I realised that colour was also theatre. It had the ability to engage people. It had the ability to make people smile. And especially on the fairground, it changed the outcome of an evening. It made people happy and connected people to get together. We've been doing trend forecasting for the last 25 years. We've only been sharing it with the industry for the last 15 years under the guise of this thing called Colour Futures. And one of the wonderful things about having 25 years worth of trend research is that you have the benefit of hindsight. You start to see connecting threads. You start to see trends emerging and themes emerging and how they kind of develop and pop away. But you start to see how the world is changing and how you can use palettes to capture that. Human beings tend to absolutely embrace highly saturated colours after really hideous things have happened to us around the world. So after the Boxing Day tsunami, Hurricane Katrina, the Tohoku earthquake, we suddenly started to embrace in that year afterwards really bright saturated colours for interiors. But when things are we're all kind of relatively wealthy and things are very stable, we move away from those saturated colours. And so the cool neutrals dominate the spectrum in periods of economic stability. We see these threads, and in the last couple of years and recent years, one of the sort of two big threads of trends are well-being and figuring stuff out. Trying to work out how we are adapting as human beings to this fast-moving, technical, digital age. And these are two big themes that are really kind of coming through all of our trend at the moment. And it's always been there, but it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. What never ceases to amaze us is nature. We're constantly inspired by nature. People say to me, is it the catwalk that drives everything? And to be honest, it's nature. This is a collection, a curated story of colour that's relevant to the world, to the next 18 months. So we're always looking 18 months ahead. And you see right at the top is 2018. And what strikes me about 2018, it's never happened before, is all of the colours are slightly greyed. We're turning back to something that's maybe more familiar and less challenging. And I'll tell you why. We are living in a world where Maslow's pyramid of needs, of basic human needs, has been adjusted according to suit at the back there. If your mobile phone is running out of juice or your battery is low, oh my God, never mind if you've got no food in the fridge. And so the mood of the moment was that we're living in a time of unpredictability. 24/7, big data, social media, CCTV, it's all overwhelming for us as simple humans. Although we created all of this, we're still kind of like a bit trying to catch up. We're trying to catch up. And so what do we need in this? What do we need in time? What happens when you fall over or your boyfriend dumps you or your girlfriend dumps you, you lose your job? What do? You return to the familiar, you go home. And so this sense of returning to spaces or creating spaces in which we feel welcome, nurtured, familiar spaces, familiar materials, it was this idea of returning to home and what home meant that we saw was the big driver for this year's colours. We looked at materials that people were using, going back to these beautiful golds and the warm metal materials, copper and gold, using warm woods rather than the really, really pale plywoods. We were seeing this return to leather and natural materials, organic colours. And from that, we distilled our colour of the year and we translated that into a colour that would work with all of these beautiful materials, and we called it Heartwood. There is no one colour of the year, but this is the colour that we think captured the mood of the moment. There's blue, and blue is really important. And absolutely, blue is really important. So blue has always been important. We have a colour of the year that seems to dominate and it just captures a feeling, but it is a really important colour. But we create this thing, a palette of the year as well, a supporting palette that designers can use across different materials and different elements of a space and different designs to sort of all in support of each other. And blue is there. Blue is a massive colour story. And the way that we bring these palettes to life is to show colour in my world, which is paint on the wall. walls in context with Tom's world and your world maybe, in terms of furniture, product design, and bringing the palette to life across every surface, because paint is just one tiny element, the cheapest probably in the room, and possibly the one that has the most impact for the least amount of money. So here you can see heartwood in the background, but the rest of the palette brought to life across the furniture and the materials. The research, just to wrap up what we did, the research into, when we got to the end of this big discussion with all of these amazing designers all over the world, we realised that we had to actually go back to the drawing board. This idea of a welcome home, how does that manifest itself? So we did loads of research into what home meant to different people, and we came up with 3 different personas and what they needed from their homes, and we started to segment them and think about how they responded to tech, how they responded to the idea of home and design and nature. And that's how we distilled our trends.